So as you're working, here's a project I started the other day. And I don't want that to fall over. It's 2 pieces. And the idea is I'm going to put some sort of a surface on it, whether it's sgraffito or painting or masking. I haven't quite decided yet, and in fact on Thursday we'll start kind of just playing around with it. I decided to make the smaller one a little bit wider than the big one because I like kind of that contrast between the thicks and the thins. It's kind of like an arch. I was just down in Moab. I have a bunch of photos. Maybe I'll do something arch related. You know, there's lots of options here. But it's a good start to show you, hey, look, we have an interconnected piece. They're related to each other, and then I'm going to do a surface from there. And then whatever concept. Now, I'm not trying to be like, hey, you need to be professional artists when it comes to concept. A basic concept is going to be okay, right? We have to start somewhere, and so let's start somewhere.
Are those hollow?
Yeah. Yeah, so I built them. This is what I would call the square. So we have a shape, but then we put the walls on it. They're completely hollow all the way through. And before I fire it, I have to poke a hole in it somewhere. I'm actually thinking of poking a hole all the way down and having it like a single flower holder. So it goes all the way through this one into this one. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see. We'll see where we get. All right, so we're gonna set this over here for now. Because this is a 7-class period project, you're gonna have to be extra careful making sure your project doesn't dry out too fast. I made this on Thursday, maybe, of last week, and it's just been sitting under that bag ever since. And it should be, it's a good leather hard, not a hard leather hard. All right, so I just have a bunch of files that I print off, and I can just grab these. And you're gonna have the same ones to work from today. And we're gonna transfer and start to sgraffito them. So I'm gonna come up here and grab my tile. So your tiles are just like this. Some are smaller, bigger. It doesn't really matter right now. We're just playing around with the concept of sgraffito. On Wednesday, you'll play around with the concept of masking and stenciling. But the concept is, so if I was going to do it on my project that I just showed you, now that it's leather hard, I would come in and I would put a whole covering of the black or another color on there and then scrape away, okay? In just a second, I'll go back to Sarah Anderson's, which was the left one, the colorful mugs this morning for your bell work. She does sgraffito, and she does spot sgraffito, where she puts her images on there and then comes in, paints, and carves back out. She does pretty cool work that way. So we're gonna come in here and find one. It can be complex, it can be simple. We're just gonna do, to start, this balloon. And I'm gonna set it on here. Now, to transfer, a couple things you need to pay attention to. Your project, sorry, your clay should be a hard leather hard. It should not be soft. If it's soft, you're gonna indent it way too much and it's hard to scrape off. It should not be bone dry, although that's not the worst place it could be, because if you're just scratching off, a nice sharp tool will scratch off bone dry just fine. And then I'm gonna grab a mechanical pencil or a dull #2 pencil. Okay, either one's gonna work just fine. Do not use your needle tool to do this. It's not what you want to do. You wanna use one of these, and then I'm just gonna come in here, set that there. I could cut that down if I wanted to. And I'm gonna draw any information that I want to come out. So I'm doing the outline first. Does anyone know where the biggest balloon rally in America is held every year? Hot air balloon.
Is it down in Washington County?
In Washington County?
Yeah.
There's a couple of good ones down there. They do one down in Kanab every year.
Yeah.
They do one down by Sand Hollow every year. They do one down in Mesquite. The one in Provo, they have about 30 balloons, sometimes 35-ish. No, the biggest hot air balloon rally in America is in New Mexico. And they launch like 500 balloons within an hour period. But there's some over in Europe that are like 5 times that. They're huge. All right, so I'm just coming in here, putting my lines in. If I want this to look just like that, I'm going to be carving away. See if you can't sort of see that. Okay, it's on there. Okay, but my image is on there now. And then I'm going to come in here. Now, I have a bunch of different tool options, and you can change your tools. Your trimming tools in your kit will also work, although they're a little bit big. Your needle tool is not your best option for this, but it would be a good place to start if you wanted to. But I have a bunch of tools, and we're going to have them up on the cart, and we're going to come in here and start to scratch away. And you just need to find the tool that you think works best for you. Because sgraffito means to scratch away, right? I'm trying not to dig too far. There's going to be a little bit of texture here, but it'll be okay. And I'm not going to do it all. It's a kind of a meditative thing. So as you start to get into it, you're going to start to see your images come out. Okay, I'm going to go around the outside. And again, I'm not carving my line, I'm carving on the outside of my line. It doesn't mean you couldn't carve on your line. I just don't think that that's always the best option. Okay, that's going to show the outline. And then maybe I'm going to just freehand a couple of clouds back there. Has anyone, all of you have seen a partial eclipse before, right? Because that's what we're getting today here. I have friends who went to Tennessee so they could see the full eclipse. This is their 3rd one, I think, that they've seen. Okay. So some clouds. If I want to make it look like it's windy, draw some lines. But that's about all I'm going to do today because I want you to get to play around with that. As you're doing it today, You can start to carve, you start doing some of these things, start thinking, what image would I want to do? If I don't have that image, that's okay. Just play around with this, and then you can come up with your own image. Google Images is a great thing. Just want that basket. If I ever said anything about hot air balloons and why you should always say yes if someone asks you to go up in it? No? Never said that? It's the coolest thing. That'll be the last thing, and then we'll move forward. So, yeah, if you're ever wherever and you're helping or whatever, and somebody's like, hey, do you want to go up in a hot air balloon? The answer is yes. Okay? I don't care if you're scared of heights, you're not going to fall. Okay? Very, very, very few hot air balloon accidents happen. These are pilots, they're trained pilots, and they're not going to, most of them, I would say, aren't going to go up if it's unsafe. There are some racing pilots, and they're crazy, but they're a different breed. But when you get up in the air, you get up 100, 200 feet, as soon as they cut the burner, complete silence. It is amazing. So one of the coolest things ever. So if you ever get that option, someone's like, hey, you want to go for a hot air balloon ride? The answer is yes, you do. Okay. So we start doing that. I'll come in and kind of play around with that today.